Hello, good evening, and welcome to News Central TV. My name is Mazino Appeal. Now, here are some stories making rounds beyond the continent. We begin with European politics. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has survived a non-confidence vote in the European Parliament, easily defeating the motion in Strasbourg on Thursday. Lawmakers voted 360 to 175 against the censure, which was brought forward by far-right members critical of her handling of COVID-19 vaccine contracts. Though the outcome was widely expected, the challenge has exposed growing tensions within the European Parliament, including criticism of von der Leyen's leadership style and transparency. In a fiercely, or rather fiery address earlier this week, von der Leyen dismissed the motion as a conspiracy theory-laden attempts to divide Europe, accusing the backers of being anti-vaxxers and apologists of Vladimir Putin. The no-confidence bid was led by Romanian far-right lawmaker George Piperea, who accused the Commission President of a lack of transparency, particularly over her private text exchanges with Pfizer executives during vaccine negotiations. Von der Leyen urged lawmakers to back her commission, emphasizing the importance of unity as the EU navigates major challenges from global trade tensions to Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine.
Is closed. And it is rejected.
In the meantime, President Zelensky has called on political leaders and global businesses to ramp up defense investment as Russia intensifies its attacks on Ukraine. Speaking to a packed room of representatives from some 30 countries and around 2,000 companies at the opening of the Ukraine Recovery Conference, Zelensky emphasized that investing in Ukraine's defense is not just aid, it's also a shared security interest. The two-day gathering, now in its fourth year, comes as Kyiv faces a new wave of Russian assaults. Overnight, Ukraine's capital endured its second major drone and missile strikes in as many nights, leaving at least 2 people dead. Zelensky urged attendees to stand with Ukraine and to take part in rebuilding a nation under siege.
Has also prepared for this meeting. Just last night they launched another massive attack on Ukraine, mainly targeting our capital, Kyiv. The attack involved Russian, Iranian Shahid drones. These drones have been heavily upgraded to cause more destruction and to be harder to shoot down. Ukrainians now face attacks by hundreds of these drones every single night. And this is pure terrorism. The night before last, they launched over 700 drones and missiles. Last night, nearly 400. And they try to do this as often as possible. And this is exactly what Putin wants, for our people to suffer, to flee Ukraine, and for homes, schools, for life itself to be destroyed everywhere, not just near the front lines. And I urge all our partners, increase your investments. When Russia increases its attacks, we cannot have a shortage of funding for drone production. More than 30 countries and hundreds of companies are represented at the conference today. And we must reach a point where Ukraine's air defense and drone sector is supported by over 30 countries and backed by hundreds of companies, not only from Ukraine, but also from Europe, the United States, and beyond.
Meanwhile, Ukraine's First Lady Olena Zelenska has called on the international community to acknowledge the devastating impact of ongoing Russian attacks on civilians. Speaking at a conference in Italy, Zelenska revealed that more than 5,000 combat drones and thousands of aerial bombs struck Ukrainian cities in the month of June alone. She described the scale of destruction as difficult to put into words, urging world leaders to respond more decisively to what she called a growing humanitarian crisis. Zelensky's comments come amid intensifying assaults on civilian infrastructure, leaving communities across Ukraine grappling with daily threats from the sky.
For all these recent months, precisely as long as Russia has been stalling negotiations, the aggressor has been shelling Ukraine with particular cruelty night after night. And last night, unfortunately, was no exception. In June alone, can you imagine, in June alone, Russia launched more than 330 missiles, alongside nearly 80 ballistic ones, over 5,000 combat drones, and 5,000 aerial bombs at Ukrainian cities. The scale of destruction is difficult to describe.
And still on the war in Ukraine, Kyiv has once again come under fire. Thick plumes of smoke blanketed the Ukrainian capital in the early hours of Thursday as Russia launched the second large-scale missile and drone assault in just 48 hours. The renewed barrage has left parts of the city shaking and emergency crews scrambling to respond. For News Central international correspondent Afua Hagan here has more.
Explosions rocked the city throughout the night. Debris rained down. Fires broke out in residential blocks. At least 2 people were killed, a 22-year-old policewoman and a 68-year-old resident. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia has launched over 1,100 drones and missiles in just 2 days, straining air defense systems and exhausting a war-weary population. President Volodymyr Zelensky, in Rome for talks, urged faster sanctions and immediate delivery of air defences. The timing is no coincidence. The fresh strikes came just hours before Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov was due to meet his US counterpart Marco Rubio in Kuala Lumpur, their first encounter since February. It also follows blunt remarks from President Donald Trump, who criticised Vladimir Putin's lies about Ukraine and promised to send more weapons to Kyiv. Meanwhile, attacks continue across southern Ukraine and even inside Russia. Ukraine says it struck an arms depot near Moscow, while 1 person was killed in Russia's Belgorod region. Later today, Zelensky will join leaders from 30 nations in what's being called a coalition of the willing, a group discussing funding, drone production and even the possibility of peacekeepers. As bombs fall and diplomacy ramps up, Ukraine is sending a clear message to its allies. Help must come faster, or the cost will be even higher. For News Central, I'm Afua Hagan.
Now to Europe's efforts in post-war recovery, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk says Poland is ready to take on a leading role in Ukraine's reconstruction. Speaking at a high-level conference in Rome focused on rebuilding war-torn Ukraine, Tusk emphasized that Poland will play a special role in the recovery process. He outlined a clear strategy for Poland's involvement, highlighting transport, trade and investment as the 3 key pillars of action. The Polish leader's remarks comes amid growing international coordination to support Ukraine's long-term recovery as the conflict with Russia continues.
Poland will play a special role in the recovery process. My government has developed a coherent model of support. First, investment in our infrastructure, roads, railways and logistics, which mainly serves to help Ukraine. Second, connectivity. The Polish corridors through which 90% of military and humanitarian aid is currently flowing to Ukraine. The same routes will carry goods for the reconstruction tomorrow. Third, trade. Today, 30% of EU exports to Ukraine is coming from Poland. Transport, trade, investment. This is the triangle we are building on. Because rebuilding Ukraine also means connecting it to Europe. This is the deeper meaning of connectivity. We are laying the foundation for Ukraine's future EU membership. And NATO is learning from Ukraine and must do so even more in order to strengthen its deterrence. Poland is ready and willing to cooperate in this field, because what Ukraine is learning today may save us all tomorrow. This is why I must stress, we are at a defining moment, now, today. What we are doing now will determine where we stand 1 year from now.
Meanwhile, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has unveiled a bold new initiative, the European Flagship Fund for the Reconstruction of Ukraine, calling it the largest equity fund globally to support reconstruction. Speaking at a high-level conference in Rome, von der Leyen said the EU is literally taking a stake in Ukraine's future. The fund aims to leverage public resources to contract large-scale private investment, accelerating the country's recovery from devastation of war. She emphasized that the initiative goes beyond financial aid, positioning the European Union as a long-term partner in Ukraine's economic revival and resilience.
I am particularly pleased to announce today the European Flagship Fund for the Reconstruction of Ukraine, the largest equity fund globally to support reconstruction. It will, together with the private sector, kickstart investment in energy, transport, critical raw materials, dual-use industries. We are literally taking a stake in Ukraine's future by leveraging public money to bring large-scale private sector's investments and help the rebuild of the country. And I'm particularly pleased, and I think from the bottom of my heart, that we are building this together with Italy, Germany, France, Poland, and the European Investment Bank.
French President Emmanuel Macron has revealed plans to expand the combined joint expeditionary force to 50,000 troops, aiming to enhance rapid development, or rather deployment, capability for major engagements. Now, speaking at Northwood military base alongside UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Macron stressed that this force will not just support Ukraine, but also respond to global threats, including hybrid and nuclear challenges. The UK-France strategic reset also includes a new Paris HQ for a coalition of the willing, coordination on nuclear deterrence and also joint missile development efforts.
Souverain, mais nous nous donnons les moyens, lorsque nécessaire, d'œuvrer ensemble à la mesure de l'environnement nettement plus menaçant qui est devenu le nôtre. Au plan opérationnel, nous avons décidé de changer complètement d'échelle la force conjointe, les TJF, que nous avions créée en 2010 et qui est la base de coopération structurante. Nous faisons passer cette force conjointe du niveau d'une brigade à celle d'un corps d'armée, c'est-à-dire pouvant aller jusqu'à 50 000 hommes, capable d'être employés dans un engagement majeur, ce qui représenterait une multiplication par 5 avec la France et le Royaume-Uni en noyau dur, capable d'agréger d'autres partenaires européens et d'être mis à la disposition de l'Alliance. Notre partenariat donne une crédibilité, une robustesse à ce pilier européen de l'OTAN sur le plan opérationnel et crédibilise aussi l'autonomie stratégique dans laquelle nous croyons.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio met Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Kuala Lumpur on Thursday, discussing a new and different approach to the Ukraine conflict. While Rubio did not provide specifics, he emphasized that the concept would be presented to President Donald Trump for consideration, noting President Trump's frustration over Moscow's lack of flexibility in negotiations. The 50-minute meeting also covered issues related to Iran, Syria, and broader international concerns, with both sides reaffirming their commitment to peaceful solutions and restoring bilateral cooperation.
It's not a new approach, it's a new idea or a new concept that I'll take back to the President to discuss. That new concept is this new approach is not something that automatically leads to peace, but it could potentially open the door to a path. Look, we're going to continue to engage with the Russian side. On any time there's an opportunity to engage with them, we're going to do so. I mean, at the end of the day, the United States and Russia still have to have a relationship. These are two important countries in the world, and we're going to continue to engage and talk. And if we see opportunities to make progress on peace, we want to be involved in pursuing that. Obviously, Minister Lavrov was here today. We had an opportunity to discuss some things, and I thought it was important and good that we talked. And we shared some information and ideas that I intend to take back to the president. Hopefully it'll lead to something positive. I can't guarantee it. The president's been frustrated at the lack of progress. He's made that clear publicly. But, we'll see if that changes.
Our German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has appealed directly to U.S. President Donald Trump, urging him to stay with the Europeans in supporting Ukraine. Speaking at the Rome conference on Ukraine's reconstruction, Merz highlighted the common objective of achieving a stable global order. This call follows recent diplomatic engagements, including a phone conversation between Merz and Trump, where both leaders agreed to collaborate closely on ending the war in Ukraine and resolving trade disputes.
Moscow. Dear friends, my second message goes to Washington, D.C. and to President Donald Trump. Stay with us and stay with the Europeans. We are on the same page, and we are looking for a stable political order in this world. I have two messages. The one goes to Moscow and to President Putin. The message is quite simple. We will not give up. We are preparing package number 18 within the European Union of sanctions against Russia. There is only one member state missing to agree on that. I urgently ask Slovakia and its Prime Minister to give up the resistance and to make the way free for package number 18 within the European Union.
Now to Russia, where hundreds gathered on Thursday to pay their final respects to former Russian Transport Minister Roman Starovoyts following his sudden and tragic death. The former official was found dead on July 7 in the Moscow suburb of Odinstovo with a gunshot wound just hours after being dismissed from his post by President Vladimir Putin. Russian state media reports that at least 17 members of the government attended the ceremony, underscoring the shock and significance of the loss within political circles. While officials have not confirmed details, local media are reporting Starovoyt's death as an apparent suicide. The incident has raised questions and drawn widespread attention both inside and outside Russia.
Роман Владимирович был замечательным человеком, он был коллегой моего супруга, мы его очень сильно уважали, он был очень отзывчивый, был очень активный, веселый, он очень жизнь любил, я не знаю, как это случилось.
Let's go on a break now. We've got more when we return. Welcome back. Now, in international trade talks, Sri Lanka on Thursday welcomed a significant reduction in U.S. tariffs on its exports, but say it will continue pushing for further concessions. This follows a move by U.S. President Donald Trump, who on Wednesday sent letters to 7 trading partners outlining new tariff rates set to take effect August 1st, alongside existing duties. Sri Lanka saw the sharpest cut, with tariffs dropping from 44% as proposed in April down to 30%. Sri Lanka's central bank governor, Nandalao Weerasinghe, who was part of the negotiation team, confirmed that talks with the U.S. trade representatives are ongoing.
And progress. So our approach is to make use of this time, this space, to the best possible advantage of Sri Lanka, and to have a mutual beneficial outcome both for USA and for Sri Lanka as well. So our response is to continue to engage, assess the situation, get the input of other stakeholders, particularly image exporters to the US market.
We'll continue to engage with an intention to have a better solution going forward for Sri Lanka. It's not just we are satisfied with the current. We are satisfied with the in terms of competitiveness, we are satisfied where we are now. And progress we have made from 44% 34%, I think we are satisfied with that. But we need to make more progress, that's why.
In the Middle East, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar has expressed optimism about achieving a ceasefire and securing the release of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. While Saar expressed Israel's commitment to securing a hostage deal and ceasefire in Gaza, German Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul echoed this sentiment, emphasizing the importance of a successful ceasefire effort. Negotiations are ongoing, with discussions focusing on phased agreements involving hostage releases, Israeli military withdrawals, and humanitarian aid access.
Israel is serious in its will to achieve a hostage deal and the ceasefire in Gaza, and I believe it is achievable. I call on Europe to rethink its approach to dealing with this threat. It's a threat to international peace and security and economy. If the Houthis are not confronted, this problem will only grow.
Wir setzen darauf, dass die Waffenstillstandsbemühungen erfolgreich sind. Ich habe darüber auch gestern noch einmal mit meinem US-Kollegen Marco Rubio telefoniert. Wir sehen die Aussicht, ich sehe die Aussicht, dass wir zu einem guten Ergebnis kommen. Wir verurteilen das auf das Schärfste und erwarten, dass der Iran seinen Einfluss auf die Houthis ausübt, um das zu beenden. Und das zeigt, dass wir insgesamt mit dem Iran ein Verständnis nicht nur darüber brauchen, was die mögliche Entwicklung von einer Nuklearbewaffnung angeht, sondern eben auch, was das regionale Verhalten des Iran.
Now, wrapping up a three-day state visit to Britain, President Macron urged the international community to formally recognize a Palestinian state, calling it the only hope for peace in the conflict-torn Middle East. Speaking at a press conference in London, Macron said he hopes to initiate the political dynamic toward Palestinian statehood, signaling a potential shift in France's role in the region's long-running tensions. The remarks come as international pressure grows for a renewed push toward a two-day, or rather two-state, solution.
C'est l'urgence absolue pour mettre fin au calvaire des otages et à celui des Gazaouis. La continuation d'une guerre sans fin et sans objectif stratégique fait peser une menace grave pour la région et pour notre sécurité collective. Elle est aujourd'hui le lieu d'une déshumanisation que rien ne peut justifier. Ensemble, nous savons la nécessité d'offrir un chemin politique et je crois à l'avenir de la solution à deux États comme base d'une architecture de sécurité régionale qui permettra à Israël de vivre en paix et en sécurité avec ses voisins. Je crois à la nécessité d'unir nos voix à Paris, à Londres et partout ailleurs pour reconnaître un État de Palestine et initier cette dynamique politique qui est la seule conforme à une perspective de paix.
And that's all on Beyond the Continent. Now remember, you may send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on your screens right now. And do follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times 274, Avo TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Hapil.